Hello again, most excellent time traveller. Welcome back to my time loop of the 1980s. And welcome back to the Nightwolf Den. In 3 years' time, in the year 1988, it will be one of the best years for games ever in the history of games. Whether it's on arcade, whether it's on IBM PC, whether it's on consoles, Commodore 64, you name it. 1988 is a special time for games releases. And I'm going to take you through a few of those games which make it stand out as possibly the best year ever for gaming. Let's get right. With so many amazing games coming out in 3 years' time in the year 1988, these 10 that I will take you through mark an example of how good those games can be. And let me know what you think. If you think these games are on a par with your favourites, or you remember different ones which you preferred, or maybe you like these, tell me what you think about these and how you started playing them on each of the different consoles and what you remember about each of these games. The first game up from 1988, which will be out in 3 years' time, is Double Dragon 2: The Revenge. Set in the streets, street combat, gangs approaching, kneeing them in the head, chucking them around, amazing music on it. What a game this is. Now in 1988, this will be the arcade version which is out. You'll have to wait for the Nintendo Entertainment System version in subsequent years, but the glory of being at the arcade, on the arcade cabinet, to play such a cool game in Double Dragon 2 is out. Spinning kicks galore, really good storyline and plot. It's a fantastic game which was released and will always be great to keep going back to play. The music's so good on it. And with being able to move up and down the screen, you can get some great multi-directional attacks in, flipping backwards, forwards, spinning kicks to people, punches and kicks. And it's a co-op mode, so you can have your friend play along with you and enjoy the game and journey with them. Such a cool game with amazing graphics, and the different variety of weapons that you can get on each of the levels is something quite different to other games I remember playing. I remember this round before my time loop started, and originally I had it on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and the hours that would plunge into this would be over and over. I think I knew the song off by heart by repeat. It was such a great game, and each part of the game with all the baddies flying in from left and right, it was like a battle for survival in the streets. And to have your friend play along with you, it just added to the whole gaming quality and what games should be like, enjoying them with your friends. This game will rule the arcades in 3 years' time, absolutely, no doubt. And I've seen it with my own eyes here in the 80s. There are lines galore of people waiting to play this game in 1988. Such is how cool this game is. It has really cemented itself as one of the top tier games and beat 'em ups in the year 1988, and I'm sure in your cyber timeline it's still very well thought of as well. The second game up in these batch of 10 games is the most excellent Splatterhouse, and this is again on arcade, coming out in 3 years' time in the year 1988. And this is a real horror beat 'em up, if you remember, and I'm sure you've seen it, I'm sure you've played on it already in the future. Where did you first play on this in the arcade? Do you remember which arcade you played it in? It's such a cool thing for in this time period. Maybe you have more genres and things that are normal in the future, but for here in 1988 it was quite different to have almost like a Jason Voorhees style slasher of a game with these hockey masks on, which is inspired kind of by them, I guess. And all the gore and all the weapons and the sound effects of doof, doof was really added to the effect of like a pretty intense, gruesome horror game. And the super gory environments, and there's the cleavers there, there's the 2x4s which you can use, and it all brought added weight to the different attacks in this sort of horror environment. And even though it's on the computer, because of the gruesome nature of it, even in pixel art, they could be pretty unsettling for some of the kids that's actually been playing the games. And even released in 1988, after then there will be different regions where the game is simply banned, so which obviously makes it even more tempting to play, and you want to be playing it because of you hear of those stories and from your friends and in magazines and things like this. So it's a real must-have. You want to play it even more. It's not that long of a game, but it's pretty challenging when you play it. So it's pretty brutal. You get through it. It's survival to get through. And its whole spin on it will be daring to put the horror and the gaming together in full-on gore fest. Splatterhouse is more than just a game, because it really attaches that horror vibe of Jason Voorhees or different slasher movies here in the 80s into a game which will, I've got no doubt in the future, it'll turn into a bit of a legacy, start off a bit of a legacy in that way. It's super enjoyable to play here in the 80s, and it will be exciting in 1988 to play once again. The third game up in this tremendous batch of 10 games is the incredible Chase HQ, and again this is on arcade in 3 years time. This also will come out on lots of other formats. I remember growing up before my time loop started, I remember playing it on the Spectrum, and I couldn't get over just the jumps and how that's something like that could be on a home system. All the different skids and the sheer pace going through the streets was unbelievable. But this 1988 version of Chase HQ is nothing short of absolute phenomenal quality. And the voice acting in it for Let's Go Mr. Driver is actually one of the first games that had voice acting in it, which is amazing, because a lot of the sound up to then won't have that level of immersion and detail, so it really adds to it by having some voice acting in there. And it is quite iconic for games of this era to have something like that in. It's super fast going through the streets, and it's combat of cars at high speed, so you'll be ramming the fugitives, and the detailed graphics are outstanding for 1988 and what we have here just now. And the pace of it, using that wheel, hearing the skids, hearing the turbo button on it, which just almost feels like you're taking off with even more pace. And there's the advanced checkpoint system on it, which worked like clockwork, so if you failed, the tension even more magnifies. It really is a cops on the edge police chase thriller of a game, and there's always cues to play it in 1988, and I'm looking forward to seeing those cues once more. The power-ups like the turbos made every race almost like a tactical gamble to try and get faster and do some more ramming, and some of those realistic car designs and shapes, and seeing them how it moves and skids around the roads. It's outstanding for here in the 80s. It really is. And just how smooth, like Outrun would be, just smooth taking over the course, and the different scaling graphics which are involved in the game even more adds to the sense of speed you get within the game itself. And each of those chases will be telling its own mini story within that particular race, and it's pulling people in and around the arcade to crowd round and watch the next person on it, just flooring the foot to the floor and trying to just navigate around those tight corners with as little problems as you can. And everyone around playing wanted those cop bragging rights, just with the sense of sheer speed going around those corners. And what a fantastic game. And with it, it'll no doubt cement that game as a place in gaming history, regardless of what format it is. Usually, I would say the arcades are usually the pinnacle of the games themselves. And this one is an amazing game. Chase HQ, what a game. The fourth game in this batch of 10 games is the phenomenal Tetris. Now this, in 1988, it will be coming out in Commodore 64 and IBM PC. There's other release dates for other consoles and computers, but specifically in 1988, the IBM PC and Commodore 64 will get this truly addictive game. And when I say phenomenal, when it comes out in those regions, on those systems, a lot of people will never have experienced something as addictive as that on a game. The Nintendo Famicom in Japan is also a release date for this in 1988, and from then on, no doubt you'll know all about it. I'm sure all the little blocks falling, super smooth drop mechanics, addictive, endlessly smooth. The port of this game to the Commodore 64 and the IBM PC and the Famicom brought an accessibility with it that just meant it opened it up for so many more people to play and to also just be supremely addictive. The Game Boy version will be coming out the year after in 1989, which will make an even more of an explosion outward for the love of this game. The beauty about it is that anyone can just pick up the game. If it was on Game Boy or playing on the Commodore 64, you can just pick up the game and play. You can enjoy it immediately. The blocks fall and you've got to move those shapes into position and not get to the top of the screen. It's that simple. As time goes on, the blocks get faster. You've got to align those blocks in a position which keeps the building wall of shapes down, and then once you complete a line, it will vanish. You probably will have played this in the future. You'll probably know how good it is. The explosion is about to start here in 1988, in 3 years' time. And what a fantastic game it is. Where was it that you played Tetris on first? Do you remember? Do you remember what you thought when you first saw it? Such a simple game, but so effective. And the faster and faster that those blocks will drop, and the T, and you changing the T round so it goes into its line and then clears off the rest of that line, and the high scores are going up. It will outpace any other puzzle competitor around this particular time and onwards, without a shadow of a doubt. It single-handedly changed the face of competitive and casual gaming. As simple as it is, as basic as it is, and there's no doubt that even in the future, in your time period, people are still playing on it. Parents can play on it. Kids can play on it. Your friends can play on it. You can play each other in trying to get higher scores. What a phenomenon it is. That's Tetris on the Commodore 64, IBM PC, and Japanese Famicom. Another of the excellent games is the outstanding R-Type. And again, this release in 1988 is on arcade, and no doubt you've played it. Where have you played it? Have you played it on the arcades? I'm sure there's lots of ports of it on different consoles in the future. Consoles that I've never seen before. I'm sure you've got something like that for R-Type there. It's such a great game with all gas, no brakes almost. Lasers blasting through it. Giant battleships and giant baddies, and the enemy designs of the baddies will be absolutely fantastic. The massive bosses that you've got to shoot look tremendous, so detailed, so good graphically compared to what you would see on a Commodore or an Atari. It is such an elevation in graphics, and the arcade is the pinnacle of how you would see these games in full high-tech form compared to some of those home machines, which were so far back off the arcade. It's crazy. Maybe in the future you have arcades in the house. Maybe in the future with some of these other spaceship-like consoles, they're even better than the arcades. I don't know. Maybe the arcades are brought to the house in the future. I don't know. You know in your cyber years of what you'll be used to. But here in the 80s, those arcades are peak graphics of what can be seen and what can be done in graphical form. And with R-Type, it's important to remember and try and memorize those different patterns to get through it and sort your reflexes to try and blast through everything that's coming at you. I'm sure that there's lots of games in the future that will be based on this upcoming game, R-Type. It is that good, and it can be really difficult. So only the best are going to survive past that stage 2, because it gets difficult at times. And if you mess up, instant game over. It's brutal, it's brilliant, it's unforgiving. It's the excellent R-Type. Another of the most excellent games to come out in 3 years, in 1988, will be the amazing Ghouls and Ghosts. Now, if you want a challenge for a game, you probably already know this game. You may know how hard it is. This game will punish you for failure, without a doubt. But in that punishment, you'll get glorious graphics, you'll get amazing music, you'll get brilliant environment and scenery within the game as you scroll past, defeating skeletons and wizards and putting on golden armor and firing spears, and it has stunning gothic visuals throughout the game. And as you're moving through the graveyards, through the howling winds, jumping over various things coming out of the ground to get you, it is just a fantastic playable experience. And it's one where I remember growing up, my friend had this one before I got to my time loop, which I'm in now, locked into now. I remember he had it when it first came out. Although it wasn't on the arcade, I'd played it on the arcades, but his one was a particular port that will come out on the Mega Drive afterwards. But this particular one on the arcade is really a sensation of gaming. It's one of my favourite games, full stop. And I always go back to this as and when I see it, as and when it's available for me to play. I'll always go back to this game. It is so good. And it's so difficult. It's not a game that I've finished even yet. I'm still battling my way through. And every time I go on it, I attempt to try and get further along with it. But it's such a fantastic game. He'll put the armor on to protect him from any shots that you get from all the things that are out there in the graveyard trying to get you. And then putting the gold armor on. It's just such a fantastic game to play and have on right from start to finish, no matter how well you do. And it can be frustrating if you're not getting very far in it, but it doesn't matter. It's that music, creepy music throughout at times as well. The whole atmosphere of the game is one that feels like it knows what it's doing. You're comfortable to play. You're really enjoying playing through the different levels. And with the golden armor, you can really supercharge those attacks, which is fantastic. So it's really exciting to find those golden suits. It always gives you a bit of a high to get that. Have you played Ghouls and Ghosts on any format? Have you played the arcade one? When was the first time you remember seeing it? And what was your experience playing it? It's such a fantastic game and well worth being in this batch of 10 games to play in 1988. A game which will be no doubt fantastic for most people to play on the Nintendo Entertainment System is the amazing Contra. Out in 1988, it is such a good scrolling platform game. You're pushing your luck to try and get through the different levels and try and get away unscathed across all the different levels it has, firing the different shots everywhere. It's intense, it can get difficult, The gameplay is fantastic. You never feel bored when playing it, and it's got iconic guns like the spreader gun. There's a laser, there's a machine gun, and you can just collect them all and just fire. The different levels of the jungle and the base and the waterfall are really all killer, no filler. There's you don't cut corners on Contra. It's such a well put together game, and the graphics and the sound fantastic, as a lot of these top games do. It's a full experience to play them in their own ways. And once the music comes on, it's like an instant hit. It just drags you in there, and you're in there, part of the game, part of playing it, part of trying to get through it, and blasting as many things as possible within sight. And within the next version, there'll be the 2 players that comes out, so that will just elevate it even more. So again, you can play with your friends. It really does take it up a notch when not only is it good on one player, but you can get your friends involved and sit and play with them, sit and play with family members. It's a really good part of having a solid game, is having a good 2-player, and Contra definitely has that. For what Contra is, it's a run, it's a gun, it's a shoot 'em game, and I think that will start defining a lot more games in the future because of the way it is, just run and gun and blast through the level and try and get through again without losing any lives or having to start again. So Contra is most definitely one which should be in this collection for 1988. Ninja Gaiden on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Action game combined with amazing cinematic gaming, and it really is potentially the start of being genre defining of how stylistic and those storytelling aspects are of the game. And of course, anything with ninja here in the 80s is a winner. You know, the amount of ninja things that are here in the 80s is tremendous, and it's always a good part of being in the 80s, seeing those different ninja things keep cropping up. I've never known so many ninjas existed before. And of course, it's lightning fast gameplay. The different bird enemies on it will be famous for a reason. Totally different style of enemy on there. The stage design on it will be pushing new boundaries, with being able to climb up walls and all the different jumps that you can do being a ninja. And when those challenging bosses will come around, and they will, it's pure survival. And the special weapons like the invincible fire wheel will bring real strategy to the game. And because it had that storytelling vibe, because it has the really good plot line, it gets you more engrossed. You know, the story of revenge and the tragedy and the epic showdowns within Ninja Gaiden make for a really cool game if the different mechanics of the game can be done right. And the actual graphics and sprites themselves, it looked a lot higher than just on an 8-bit system. It looked like a 16-bit system almost. It's such a good looking game, and for here in the 80s, it's incredible the jump between some of the different graphics that you can get on some games, which look so much more impressive than some other titles. But Ninja Gaiden has that part to it where it looks fantastic. So when it does come out in 3 years, it's super exciting, and I'm sure that this game in the future will still be looked back fondly and still played over and over again, like it already is here in the 80s. And again, the soundtrack on it, the soundtrack combined with the storytelling, combined with the graphics, combined with the movements and the whole atmosphere of it, it just cranks up the adrenaline that you just really want to keep playing and play it more. And that's a real sign of a good game, I reckon. There's 2 games left of this epic group of games, and this one is Mega Man 2 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. What a great game. This is what relentless platforming, genius music and the tight controls look like. Mega Man 2 is pure joy, and it is a great game, and one which I'm sure you yourself have played many times in the future. But here in 1988, when it will first come out, it is already such a great game to play, and I'm sure the nostalgia for you to play it in your timeline will bring back all those memories of owning it yourself, playing it on someone else's computer, and just take it in and marveling at the quality of this game. And it really upped the ante with robot bosses. There was more of them, there was more mayhem, and there was a lot more freedom where you could really choose your level order, and you could really attack the game, so to speak, in your own way. Every stage looks brilliant, and Wily's Castle is absolute 8-bit perfection. It looks fantastic on the Nintendo. Everything about the game looks quality. The developers have taken that to such a level with the precision of each pixel. It all looks polished, it looks quality. They've really given the role in this game, I reckon, and they've brought out a fantastic game. And in 1988, it will be one of the top games that is released in that particular year. And no doubt you've played it, and no doubt you're still fond of it. It's that good of a game, and it will make Mega Man an absolute legend when this comes out. I've got no doubts that in the future it is a game that people will still love playing, as we do here in the 80s on the Nintendo Entertainment System. A brilliant game. And as good as Mega Man 2 is, there is a game which this may be considered the best game of all time. I don't know what games you have in your cyber world of flying cars and moving robots and talking computers, but already here, and when it comes out in 1988, this will be one of the finest games, certainly which has previously been out, and no doubt it will carry on in the future. And that is, can you guess what it is? Super Mario Bros. 3 on a Nintendo Entertainment System. It is. If this isn't a perfect game, then I don't know what is. It's the first time that the Mario series features the overworld map, and then suddenly you can choose your own path, your own way of how to play, and that really is power as a gamer. Some of the power-ups are legendary. You know, you're not just growing as Mario. You've got the Tanuki suit, the hammer suit, and there's the frog suit as well. It's got secret warp whistles and hidden stages, as often will come up in Mario, and each of those worlds delivered new mechanics. So it might be giant land, it might be ice, it might be sky, it might be pipes. There's maximum variety. There's really good immersion. It's beautiful as all the Mario games look, and it's always an amazing soundtrack that goes on the Mario games, and you can just hear that soundtrack in your head playing over and over, and it never gets bored, and it never gets boring. It's such a good game, and the variety keeps going because you've got the sliding, you've got the flying, you've got the swimming, and it really does add to the freedom that you get when playing the game. And this will absolutely boom when this comes out in 3 years. I've seen it before I was in my time loop. I've seen it in each of the time loops since. People love this game, and I've got no doubt that in the future that you've probably played it so many times yourself. You probably have those feelings of turning the computer on and seeing those credits, seeing the animations at the start, and can't wait to dive in to playing it. Can't wait to spin round as a Mario with a little tail. It's so good is this Mario game. And in fact, in the Wizard movie, you'll get to see it as well, because it features in there, and that's amazing to have it in a film as well. It kind of compounds. It's almost like seeing a friend or a relative in the movie, and of course from there it'll show it to the world because it's been in the movie. To me, there's no doubt that this must be the peak of 8-bit computer games. You tell me, do you think it's the peak of an 8-bit computer system? Do you think it's a peak on the Nintendo Entertainment System? I certainly do, and I think it'll hold its greatness right the way through to your timeline, whenever you live. If you live in 2050, 2070, 2030, 2020, whenever you live, I'm sure this game will still be most excellent, and it will still be played by people galore all around the world. And one other notable mention, as a bonus to the 10, is the amazing Power Drift. And if you've played the deluxe version in the arcade, the rocking of the car that you're in and the angles that you go on really emphasize the speed of that car. But anyway, thank you for joining me on this tour through some of the coolest games which will be coming out in the next 3 years in 1988. Have you played some of these games? What do you think about some of them? Do you have them in your collection? Have you played them in the arcades? Do you prefer the Nintendo Entertainment System version? You tell me. Add the cool Nightwolf 1981 music tracks to your playlist however you play them in the future. And I'll see you next time you tune in to the Nightwolf Den. Stay rad, future dude.